what he's done for us over time, it doesn't change how good a player he is.
The stadium is our kind of fortress.
There's always been something special about nights under the lights.
Welcome to the pre-match pint with London Pride. I'm Stu Wakeford, back in with a fantastic Luke Gregory. I know you're all disappointed isn't standing behind the bar today, but you have got me down here at the brewery shop in Chiswick Lane. Bees fans get down here for 10% off. Come for appointments with friends like I have. Natalie Sawyer, Rhys, Weston and Brentford women's gaffer, Karleigh Osborne. How are you all?
Very well.
Very well, thank you.
Right,
Good, thank you.
Double cheers today. Happy birthday, Brentford Football Club. 133 years old this week.
Birthday.
And also to Jota, who was a massive favourite of mine, who's hung up his boots this week. Quickly on him, Natalie.
Yep.
Have you got a favourite Jota moment?
Oh, well, it's always in the last minute, isn't it? Those goals that he scored. He was one of those players that just was a threat. He loved to get on the ball, didn't he, and just run at players with it. And it was always sad when he left, because I think you cling on to some of these legends that make themselves legends in the club. So yeah, it's sad that his career's come to an end, but happy memories for us. But yeah, scoring against QPR, all of those kind of memories.
The Fulham goals as well. He just seemed to glide. He was one of those players.
That's what I mean.
It was the elegance of him and stuff. Yeah, absolutely loved him. That's the fun stuff to talk about. Luke had the easy gig last week, didn't have to talk about something like this. But Newcastle 5-1. Thomas was honest. Matthias was honest in his post-match. So we're going to have to be honest here, Rhys. What are you going to say about that game? Because luckily you do the opinion, I don't have to.
Brilliant. You can analyse it to the nth degree, but it was a bad day at the office. It's very cliched, but I think when you look at best laid plans, a few individual errors cost us dearly in the end. And I wouldn't read too much into it, if I'm honest with you. It can happen in the Premier League. It hasn't happened to us yet, prior to Saturday's game against Newcastle, but it's a lesson learned, isn't it? I think we're always going to play the same way. You can't point the finger at anybody who's trying to do the right things, but unfortunately didn't quite execute it correctly. But yeah, it's a bad day. Move on. There's not too much you can say about it, really. It's the results speak for itself. I think one of my favourite kind of anecdotes that came out of it was when, obviously, Brian's goal was ruled out for VAR, and Thomas was asked post-match, how do you feel about it? He said, look, I'm not going to question VAR decision when you've just been beaten 5-1. And that's the honest appraisal that we're looking for, I guess, as fans and employees of the club. You're looking at your leader to go, all right, wasn't great, let's move on. And I think there's enough said about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much enough said. I think, is there somebody saying that these were individual mistakes? Is it better then than we were awful over the park? Do you see what I mean? Like, are you worrying more if form had been dreadful all season so far? Do you see what I mean? Because we've shown enough so far to know that was probably a one-off.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's individual errors, you're hoping that they've learned from those individual players, and then they can put it right in the next game. So, yeah, I mean, in all fairness, when we spoke about this game last time around,
I saw you lot are bigger than right up.
Well,
not you lot. Don't you lot it off, mate.
They have done really well, and I thought it was always going to be very difficult to go up to St James's Park and get anything out of it. And in that sense, I'm not sure it's a game that we'd have gone, that's definite 3 points for us anyway, before the season started, when we got the fixture list. So I think it's just a case. The good thing is as well, the games are coming thick and fast. We can move on from it pretty quick and focus on Brighton, and then obviously Chelsea to come as well pretty quick as well. So there's lots to fix and get right, and hopefully put it right on the pitch on Friday night.
Karleigh, one positive was Ethan coming back. I know. Look, he had a difficult afternoon. We know with the own goal, etc. But how hard? I'm trying to find the emotion. How hard is that to come back in that kind of match at St James's Park? You know what it's like, the atmosphere in that place. That's your first game back after a behind closed doors friendly and some training this year.
Yeah, it would have been extremely hard. It's always hard when you've been out for a while and you're coming back in trying to find your feet again anyway.
I asked you this because obviously someone that
you're always coming back. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So I know exactly how you felt. So it's always difficult anyway when you're doing that, to see if you are up to speed, if you are maybe a little bit behind, and just find your feet again. And then it's harder, obviously, playing in a game like that against Newcastle, St James's Park, where the atmosphere is electric, unbelievable. They're in a good place at the moment as well. And then, obviously, unfortunately for him, there's a couple of errors and it doesn't go to plan. But when you look at what he's done for us over time, it doesn't change how good a player he is, and he'll no doubt come back from that even stronger. And he's a fantastic addition to have back in. It was just one of those days where, unfortunately, we wasn't great and there was a few mistakes.
It's testament to how highly he's thought of, though, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because when you think about the scale of the occasion, and Thomas has alluded to in the past how important he is to the group. Yeah. The fact that Thomas had enough trust to put him straight back in, I think that's testament to how well he's done for us.
Yeah. It's a 24-hour rule. That's the thing that Thomas says, isn't it? 24 hours, then you move on, and he's got to now, I guess, do that because, like we said, he is so important to us and the positives we do. So. Looking forward to Brighton, and hopefully Ethan will be back in that back line again. Last season against Brighton, surely there's going to be a positive at some point in here today. But we had a couple of tough games against Brighton last year, if we're being perfectly honest, didn't we?
We did. And there's some very influential players in that Brighton team that they love to get on the ball, like Leandro Trossard. You don't give him space because he'll shoot from wherever he can. Obviously, they lost a few players in the summer, but it doesn't feel like really they've been impacted, even with Graham Potter moving on, because the whole point of Roberto De Zerbi coming in is he's meant to have a similar brand of football. That's what the ownership went for. So I expect Brighton will play exactly the same style of football, a team that wants to have the ball, that wants to drive forward as much as possible, be as creative as they can be. The only problem they have is still maybe lacking a goal scorer. But yeah, going back to last season, we didn't fare very well against them, but those are games we hopefully have learnt from and can improve our record against them this time around.
And I guess, Karleigh, we're going to be going into this game a different proposition than we were last year, because what's it like in a change room when you've come off the back of a defeat like that? Does it galvanise, in a weird way, can it galvanise a squad? Are you just raring to go again?
Yeah, they will be raring to go, 100%. It's never nice when you come off the back of a result like that. You want to prove something as well, to the fans and to yourself, so everyone will be coming together in order to do that. And they'll be looking forward to the challenge because Brighton's a very good team and they know it's going to be a challenge. Also, you want to put kind of results from last year right as well. So there'll be a lot for the players to kind of be focused on in order to make sure they perform at the levels they need to perform at. And I have no doubt they'll do that. Like we've seen before, Brentford always seem to bounce back when there's a time where it might not be going great for us. We always seem to bounce back really well. So I don't have any doubt that this will be an opportunity for them to do that.
And look, going into this fixture on Friday night, we saw, of course, the news this week that Enoch Mwepu has sadly had to retire from football. He's got a hereditary heart condition. Rhys, we were just talking before off camera, and you said that it's something obviously so sad that a young player has had to stop playing football. There is actually, you've got to see the positives in this, haven't you?
Yeah, it's obviously devastating for the young man. A really talented young player with a long way to go in his career ahead of him. But so you've got to put a positive spin on it. I think when it comes to health and well-being, him not being aware of that heart condition, it could have been absolutely devastating. And I think at least now knowing that it's there, he can hopefully go on and have a really healthy, long, fulfilled life. And I think football sometimes gets taken out of perspective. It's not life and death. And in this instance, the fact that this condition has been identified early enough in his life, he can kind of recalibrate and refocus. So obviously we wish him all the very best. Very sad, of course, but in a positive sense, hopefully now he can refocus, and it's definitely a positive thing. And obviously it'll be very difficult for him to take. He'll have a period of kind of adjustment, no doubt. But again, hopefully we wish him well in whatever comes next.
And of course, the subject of heart conditions is something it's close with Brentford Football Club in general. I'm sure everyone here, we don't need to go into it, has probably been affected in some way. Some of us would have known Rob Rowan as well. And we saw in the last week or so the new campaign that Brentford have launched, Heart of West London. Natalie, how big a thing is this to the club to use their platform? And you spoke about it just, and screenings and how we can raise a bit more funds and people learning CPR, and how important are things like this in football in general and in the community?
Well, it's massive because we are highlighting an issue that is becoming more prevalent, it feels, in society now, unfortunately. Maybe that's just due to Well, it's due to a number of factors, I'm sure, but I'm not a medical person, so I probably can't go into that in too much detail. But I think it's vitally important that a club like us uses our platform to give people that chance. I mean, where else can you go for a screening without the club putting that facility there for you, for example? So I think it's hugely important. Yes, we've been massively impacted by it, by the loss of Rob Rowan. But I think it's wonderful what the club is doing and giving people that opportunity to just check themselves out, to make sure that there isn't anything for them to worry about. It gives you that reassurance, hopefully, as well. And as a club like Brentford, which is a community club, it's just another part of what we aspire to do, which is to help our community at the end of the day.
The key thing, if you are able to go on the Heart of West London website, there is a link so you can learn how to do CPR, which is absolutely massive. It can save someone's life. So everyone, if you do get an opportunity, make sure you do go online and have a look at that. Also, in the next week or so, you'll be seeing these T-shirts that you'll be able to purchase with the proceeds going towards the charities that we are supporting: Rhys, the Royal Brompton and Harefield Hospitals, Pablo, and of course Cardiac Risk in the Young as well. So you'll be seeing a little bit more about them coming up. Going into this kind of couple of fixtures as well, guys, it's 2 night games, it's 2 big atmospheres. We know how much we love these games. Also, another man that loves these games is Thomas Frank, and he's got a little message for everyone at home.
On Friday night, when the boys walk out of that tunnel against Brighton, we would like to see red and white scarves everywhere when we play Hey Jude. I always say us, that means you guys, the players, all of us, can create an unbelievable atmosphere when we're all at it.
Right, so that's it. Thomas wants you guys to give us a sea of red and white with your scarves as the players walk out for Hey Jude. So make sure you've got your scarves. You guys have got the scarf? You go in a whistle to a match day. You'll probably
certain time, mate. Yeah.
You're never going to.
So you'll tie. You'll use like this with your tie. Red and white tie. Nice.
Yeah, wave my tie around.
If any of you do that, Natalie,
I'll take it. Yeah. Thanks.
Karleigh, how we speak about it a lot, and look, it's become kind of the big thing. Nights under the lights at Griffin Park were incredible, just as incredible and special, magical at this place as well.
Yeah, just as. There's always been something special about nights under the lights. It's just a different feel, different energy, and it's perfect timing realistically after the weekend, obviously. So it's exciting. I think the boys will be looking to really kind of put on a performance and get that crowd right behind them. And as Thomas is doing with the scarves and stuff like that, he wants to make sure that when everyone comes out, it's electrifying.
It's a timing, innit? It's a time. What Karleigh says, the timing of the game against Newcastle. Look, what do? You can mope about, you can put your head down in the sand and say this, but this is an opportunity, right? Let's come back fighting. Let's put on a display in the stands because we know the lads are going to be up for it as well, and they'll feed off that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I remember the first night at the Gtech against Arsenal in our kind of inaugural Premier League season. If you remember that the atmosphere that evening was incredible, and we've had some fantastic occasions since that point, but this again presents a great opportunity on Friday to replicate that again, especially of what happened the previous weekend. The stadium is our kind of fortress, isn't it? And I think football's brilliant in presenting opportunities to remedy what's happened previously, and I think that's what the focus is going to be on. And with everyone kind of geared up, the lights, Jess in the ops team will be doing the light show.
Well, she might not be. It might be Sam Clip,
but
we can't go into that now. Can't go into that now. Can't go into that now.
Let's not forget.
Down to rhythm though, isn't it?
Jamie Allen, but it's not my
let's
call.
not forget also the last home game didn't go to plan, obviously against Arsenal. So it's another chance. Not only is it to move on from Newcastle, it's a chance to show everybody that was just a little blip again, and
also,
show what Brentford's all about.
Sky cameras there Friday night.
Exactly.
It's so good when we show the world how good.
Gtech, Karleigh, all getting involved.
They all want a bit.
They love it.
And of course, we're treated to 2 games with that Chelsea game on Wednesday. We've not had a chance to play that. But as Thomas says, take it 1 game at a time. Right, that's it for this week. Hopefully, I've done Luke Gregory proud. And remember, get behind the team on Friday night. Let us see your red and white scarves up there in the West Stand. We want to see a sea of red and white every stand. And let's be loud and proud as we sing Hey Jude. Come on, you bees. You Reds!
He steps up! Fabulous goal from Ivan Toney! On the mark for Brentford, as he so often has been.
Ivan,